Okay, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is well. So let's have a look. Real low volume overnight, actually. We've had a little move down and a move up, so not a lot of volume, to be honest with you. So see what sort of same again. Quiet day yesterday. I actually missed an absolute beauty trade. This one there. I got to the charts and it was up here. I came back late this evening or after dinner. Real shame that, because I like that nice steady move up there, two lovely legs back, and it worked beautifully. But there you go. So let's see what sort of day we have today. We've got some news coming up in around about 30 minutes. Keep an eye on that. See what happens. So, let me have a look. Okay, very little in the way of. There's not a huge amount of liquidity, not strong liquidity. There is some up here, so whether we get a second leg up or not, it's hard to say. I don't think there's any type of larger channel. Maybe not. Speedy, how you doing, pal? So we've had a breakout which may fail. I don't want to take that lower high. There's a little bit of resistance there, and it's just a little bit too early on in the morning, really, to figure out what's going on. It looks like it may work. There's a bit of liquidity there, but then not much else. So I don't really want to jump in there. For me, it's just not super clear, really. I don't know whether we're going to bounce a couple of times and then this thing is going to continue up. Looks like it may work. But it's a bit congested there, so you just don't know whether we're going to get a second entry long and the thing's going to turn up. Possible failure there, but same again, I don't like it. It's a little bit sideways here. Russell, good morning to you, my friend. Could argue there's a second entry long there, but I can't see many. It's just not super strong. It may work, but it's just, I don't like this. Yeah, I'm just going to have to kind of wait and see what happens. It's getting a little bit stacked here, so I made the right decision to leave that. It's just a bit congested. It's not clear. We've got a kind of move down, then we kind of lose that downward momentum. So it's just too dangerous to trade here at the moment. There is possible failure there, but it's same again. It's just a little bit stacked. I can't see a huge amount of buyers down here and a huge amount of sellers. It's quite dry. There are bits. There is some at 90, not a huge amount. There's some at kind of 82 down here, so it's kind of in the middle. So if I'd have taken that, I'd have got a 1.25 and a push. It's not enough for me. I'll be amazed if it doesn't break above. There you go. So it's congested there, so you can't really take that lower high. and it didn't work for anything more than a point and a quarter anyway. It's just too risky. As I say, it just looks like there's a little bit of resistance here, and it kind of proved my point. Now, is there a larger channel? Maybe. I'm just not a massive fan. If it is, we've had a break and a new high anyway, but now all of a sudden we're moving up. So I'm going to leave that one. I'm not super fan of it. I mean, if it is, we've had a break and a new high anyway. So, and then it's just kind of losing momentum, isn't it? So, CL chart I'm looking at as well. Not sure whether there's a bit of a channel. It touches here, touches here. It fits here quite nice. So maybe we're having a couple of legs down. I think we've gone beyond a measured move. In fact, we're right at a measured move now. So this does kind of look like it's moving up. But we don't quite get to the top of this channel that I've got marked there. So that might be why we've got a break. So if we can get a strong move up above that EMA, then we may get kind of a move up. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. But we've got some news, some all news at 3:30 UK time, which is just under an hour. So I'll keep an eye on that. But it'd be interesting to see how this reacts. It's definitely stalling there. So it would be interesting. In fact, that's actually right at the measured move now. That's right at the measured move now. 1, 2, 3. So it'll be interesting. I'll keep an eye on that. If I take a trade on that, I'll bring it in. Brant, how you doing, bud? Karina, good morning to you. A little bird said, we did miss you yesterday. Yeah, a few people said, where's Karina? I said, we don't need her anymore. I'm only kidding. Yeah, we did miss you yesterday. What did you say, Brant, anyway? Bounced off the multi-day uptrend support. Is there something? Depends what you're looking at that from, really, isn't it? That's a bit low, I think. Or is it? Actually, it doesn't look terrible, does it? Tops look okay as well. I do usually have a look at these, but I haven't done for a couple of days, so it has had a bounce there, isn't it? So you get a couple of legs down, you'd expect. In fact, we are hitting this level, aren't we? So you don't know it's going to push up and continue up, or what, really? Who knows? Little Hammer, how you doing, bud? So yeah. I mean, the general idea over the last sort of 1, 2, 3 over the last 3 days, we're generally on the up, aren't we? Beach Bum, how you doing, pal? We're generally on the up. So, but yeah, I missed an absolute beauty trade yesterday. I got to the channel really well. I say late. I had me dinner. We kind of had that, didn't we? It was working really nice, and we had two absolute, nice clear legs back, nice bullish bar off there, and it was up here. I think by the time I got to the chart, I couldn't switch everything on quick enough. I had to open Replicanto and that, and by the time I got it open, I'd missed the move really, but it worked nice. It clearly did. What did it go up? It went up 3 and 3, about 4 points, maybe a touch more. But I get for 3, and so it would have worked for me. I don't know whether I'd maybe taken a few ticks less just to get out of that high, something like that. But it worked anyway. It did come back, but it didn't break below there. it was a nice, sometimes when you get these nice solid foundations, which it is there, a lot of times it will come back, but it won't hit it. I mean, as far as a good positional move, it's quite a strong move, isn't it? I'm surprised it only did that, to be honest with you. But it was a break anyway, and when we hit a new high, but it did make the attempt to come down, but it took off again, and before it ended up just going sideways for the rest of the day. But it's a shame, really. You can sit here for days, and apart from that, same again. Mac didn't mark many yesterday, so it's definitely quieter. There's no arguing that. Maybe it just takes a few days for it to kick off again. Who knows? You took that trade, yeah. It was quite clear. Those kind of two. I prefer that type of move rather than a second entry long. That one did work for a scalp. I wouldn't have taken it, to be fair, because it was a bit far from the main. It's a bit congested. But then when we had those two legs down, it's pretty clear that is. And you got a bear bar there, which triggers and pushes up and closes on its high there. It took a tick or two heat, but that's it. And then it moved up quite strong. But it's quite clear, isn't it? So I prefer that type of trade than a standard second entry long, personally. They tend to work a little bit better, and they're a little bit easier to see as well, I think. So let's just put that back there. So it probably is something like that. I think it's irrelevant anyway, but I'll put it there. We had a break and a new high. Came back and tested this, and then a couple of legs up again. So so sellers, there's a few hundred contracts there. Buyers wise, there are buyers here around about here. So my guess is that could there may end up being something larger. It could be. This could be part of a second leg. So maybe there's something like that. I don't know, really. Let's just kill the colour so it's an area of interest. See if it looks better on this chart. Doesn't really look any. In fact, looks slightly worse there. Well, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. So, yeah, we've got to move up with kind of a correction, haven't we? Not the cleanest looking correction, but we have had a couple of attempts before it pushes up again. Now we're above all this. You can see that support there. So maybe we'll come down and bounce off it. But the trouble is, if we have two legs up, we're pulling back already. We don't get a chance to get to that top of the channel if it is a channel. A lot of the time, then we may get a break. That's how I see things. So, who knows? News. About 15 minutes. So, there are some buyers at 92.5, which you'd expect if traders wanted to get out. I'd probably, for me personally, I prefer a little bit closer to this top line here, but there are buyers there, and there are sellers up at that magical 7,000, which I'm guessing would be close to a measured leg. Yeah, pretty much. So, leg and a leg. That's if we get up there, of course. That would get us right to that 7,000 level, where you probably expect a few sellers, wouldn't you? We haven't been up here for a while. Okay, want a bit of a pullback here. I think there's a good chance we get up to that 7,000 level. There's 400 odd contracts up there. There is a fair few buyers around here, so if we can get a second entry, we may have something. Trouble is, I always get nervous of second entries that float above this. I prefer them to get right down here, so uh, actually slightly below there. Let's call it about there, which is much better, right at the top here. You can see we bounced a bunch of times at this level, so if we can get a couple of legs down here, we may get something, but this thing just looks like it wants to take off. Let me just check everything's open okay. I'm pretty sure I did.
Order submitted. Order canceled. Order submitted. Order canceled.
Okay, big bullish bar there. I wouldn't take a trade there. It's kind of floating in the middle of nowhere and it has triggered by a tick. So I think there's a fair chance this comes down below there and it may get down to here. There's probably going to be some liquidity there. We had that push up, little pullback. So if we can get below there, excuse me, we should hit some of these buyers. Once we get below there, it may move a bit easier. But you can see there's about 300 contracts around about 2.25-ish, around about this level, specifically below that bull bar there. We kind of had that move up, little pullback, bull bar, a little bit of sideways, then eventually it went up. So we've got below there. Ideally, we want to get a little bit lower. Now, that's technically, by the count, would be a second entry long. The only slight issue I have is on this chart, it looks like one channel down. Now, on my left chart here, we're not getting to the top of this channel, so I wouldn't buy it yet. Now, it may go up, but for me, I'm looking for a break and a new low. So because we couldn't get up to these tops, I'm only really interested if we can get a break, ideally somewhere in this region here at the top, somewhere around about here. So leg and a leg down around about the 92, which is where these buyers are. This channel looks okay, but on here, it just looks like one single channel to me. So I'm going to have to play it carefully here. You may say there's something like that. It's hard to say. Okay, so we got below that bull bar there. So there are buyers here. So let's see how things react here. So the only way I'd be getting long here is above that EMA in the way of a higher low, just in case it comes down to this area. Now, you could argue that maybe there's a spike in a channel there. Doesn't fit terribly bad. Bar's a tick off a doji, so it's no good anyway, but that might not look terrible. So, yeah, I got mixed feelings about this. So I got two on the go here. I got the larger chart, which is on the left side, and I've got the spike and channel, which is on the right side. So I have definitely got sellers up here. There's a fair amount. There's about 800 contracts in this area here, so I think there's a good chance this goes up. But I need to see some buying here, and where I can see relatively strong buyers is there, which is kind of right in between here and here. So interesting to see what happens now. It may well push up, but I wouldn't get in here personally. It's just not super clear. If it's the left chart, we've had a channel with a break. I'd expect you to know that there may be an overshoot there. So I'm just not sure about what I'm seeing here at the moment. I'm certainly not ready to go long just yet. I want to give this chance to come a bit lower because where these buyers are, there's liquidity around here. So I'm just sitting tight here at the moment. I don't like what I'm seeing. It's not super clear. Uh, I don't like that, to be honest with you. Let's get rid of that. On here, I've got just one single channel, but there is a bit of an overshoot, so sometimes that'll send it upwards. But I'm sitting tight here because it's not clear. It's a bit choppy and it's not clear, so we could get a second leg down to here. So I'm just staying out of it at the moment. Okay, news in 5 minutes. Just looking at this CL chart here, we've had kind of two legs down a bit further. We got a little channel with a break and a new high. So there's kind of like almost like a hidden second entry short there that's triggered. I was kind of looking for a possible failure, but I don't like it. It may go up. It's come down a bit further than I would expect. If we've got a channel up here, a couple of legs down, it came down a bit further, but it is recovering, so that may work. But I don't think it's going to push up in time anyway. Channel break, new high. There's bound to be a few sellers there, but I just don't like what I'm seeing here. I mean, there is some support and resistance there, so that might not be a terrible trade. I don't know, it's just something about it. It's not as clear as I'd like it. So, struggling to get up, so I'm going to leave that, I think. It's only a small risk though, 6 ticks. If I can get in on the button and a tick below, I might get 6-7 tick risk. It's about $70. I'm only trading one contract on there, but there's what I will say is there's bound to be liquidity up here. So if it does push up the bars, it's no good anyway. It's no good. Yeah, I don't like this. Could go up, could come down. If I look at on the left chart, we've got a little kind of micro with a break and a new high. So we've got a move down, a couple of little, maybe a little correction. So that may come down. So little micro break, new high. I just wouldn't entertain anything along here until it gets down here to this level. because there's going to be liquidity probably there and down here. There is an overshoot, but I mean, is there? Uh, it's not super obvious, is it? But I'm just sitting tight here. I'd like to see this come down. If you look on the main chart, it's clearly congested now. So for me, it's got to come down here. Otherwise, I personally wouldn't be interested. If you look at there, we've got news as well. If you look on Bookmap, the chunk of buyers are at 90 here, which makes perfect sense. 2 legs down to this level, clear out any early traders in here because it's just weak, I think. So for me, this has got to drop. It's just not an interesting place enough to want to buy here, really. It's kind of right in the middle of this. So the only way, really, or the only real entry, from what I'm seeing is around about here. Uh, and that makes sense with what I'm seeing on Bookmap. So kind of 2 legs down. Now, the second leg's not going to be as large, but you get the drift. A couple of legs down to this level, maybe clear out this as well. A little bit of liquidity here, and we'll get shoved down in a minute. I'm sure of it. Okay, so news is coming up any minute now, any second now. We've got some oil news. Nice smaller short-term trend working up in unison with the medium channel break. Yeah. I'm guessing traders aren't expecting much of a move because there's still a fair few orders in here. There's still 107 contracts unless they get yanked. I'm guessing it's not going to do much, this news. They have disappeared, them. They've just literally got pulled. Whoever left them there left it a bit late, but you've still got a bunch here. So based on what I'm seeing on Bookmap, it has gone black now, but I'm not seeing too much of a move with the news. You wouldn't even realise the news had happened. Maybe now you would. I think that news came out a bit late. It was about 20 seconds late. Is my time right, is it? It's 3 o'clock, isn't it? Seemed to be a little bit delayed there. Anybody else notice that? Okay, so 2 legs down. Let's see where this goes now. Leg and a leg. Seemed to be about 20 seconds late, the news. It did nothing, then all of a sudden dropped. So my guess is it's probably going to continue back up. Just based on what I'm seeing. Ben, how you doing, mate? Based on what I'm seeing on Bookmap. More orders up here, but it's quite far from here, so that natural pull. Definitely started off slow, isn't it? Come on, speed up a bit, for God's sake. Okay, let's just see if I can look at this. Try something else. Bounce up to the top. Maybe this. I don't know. It's not clear, is it? Trouble is, because we've had so little price action, we've not really been given any kind of a picture as to what's happening. So, if we can get a second entry off here, I may be interested in going short. It's hard to say. I can see that. Let's get rid of this. Excuse me. There are orders up here, 400 odd contracts. But down here at 75, right below the bottom, there are 250 contracts. So it's hard to know exactly where things are going, but we have pushed down and we do seem to be struggling to get anywhere. So maybe it's a move down with a couple of, I don't know. We got 2 legs up. Maybe it's 2 legs down, kind of a shoulder, head, shoulder. We get another shoulder. Who knows? But what I'd like to see is a couple of legs up here and some balls trapped. But there's always a possibility it could be pushing up, making a new high. It's hard to say. It's not pushing down enough, strong enough for me. Yeah, I'm not the only one. Thomas Way's literally just posted that right this second, so he's looking at the same thing. Trouble is, we need a lower high here really to get in there. I do like the fact that it's finding a little bit of support here. But I'll have to wait for a lower high, really. That would kind of give me more confirmation because you never know whether it's just going to push up a little bit more. So that's a possibility. It's not set in stone. It's just something I'm looking at. Thomas Wade's looking at the same thing. He's just said, consider lower high, but I'm getting the feeling the structure is quite whipsaw-y with trends pivoting. Yeah, it's not super clear, is it? But I think it's always nice. So what I will say is if I look on the left chart here, we've got a big bull bar there, we've got a higher low there, and another big bull bar. So there's definitely some buyers there. So if we can get a lower high, if we can get to this level and then this level, that'll give us a move down. But I'd like to get a lower high there. It is kind of working in the right kind of area. But we got no setup there and no setup there. So even if I wanted to go short, there's nothing there. There's no entry, in all fairness. And you may argue that there's a little channel up like that. There is kind of two little legs, you may say. So if we go from here, something like that, maybe there's a little something there. It's not the clearest, is it? But kind of looks like a couple of little legs. But I want, a nice solid bear bar there, trapping some bulls. Not only that, 1, 2. If we can get up here again, we may have 1, 2, 3, a possible triple test. Then that may be interesting. I think that's better. Channel break, new high. I mean, it is testing this top, which is encouraging. But there's just no setup there, really. If we can get a bit of a bull bar here that we can trap, we may get somewhere. I'd like this bar here to turn into a bull bar and then for it to trap and then push down. So if we hit the stop, then it'll take us into this area. Looks better on my left chart. I don't think it's going to work, though. It's definitely slow, isn't it, today? I hate it when it's slow. So there's buyers at 75. There's about 600 odd contracts to buy in this area here, which you kind of expect the bottom of what looks like mainly a range in that area there. Buyers. I'm going to adjust that slightly. Most people have got rid of it. I'm keeping it just at the minute, but we've had a break out of it. We may get one this side, which these buyers in this area. Let me have a look. Let me see some other charts. There's not many posted at the moment. It's Dusty from Vlad's Discord. Oh, how you doing, bud? How you doing? I'm off at the moment. I messaged him and said, because I obviously trade full time, so it's having time to be there for 3 hours on a Friday. And what I've found is over the years I've been trading, I work much better to completely take the weekend away from trading, and he does like 3 hours on a Sunday. So I messaged him last week and said, I'm not going to stay. And he said, yeah, no worries. And he said, look, if you want, I won't charge you. I'll just keep you as a what do they call them? Like a mod or something like that, or whatever, a moderator or something like that, he said. And I went, yeah, that's fine. I said, I can, pop in and chat from time to time. I just can't commit to Fridays because obviously I'm trading and streaming, and Sundays I spend with my family. So he went, yeah, I'll make you a mod and you don't have to pay. And then I think my payment was due to go out. I think it was yesterday. So I have a separate account where I put, yeah, that type of thing. I have a separate account where I put money in for anything like this, because sometimes when you sign up to these things, you can't cancel the damn things. So the payment never come out, and I've disappeared off the. So I'll message him later, and I dare say he'll hook me back up. But I think if you don't pay, it just automatically kicks you off. But he did say I'll sort it out the next day or so. So, I don't mind coming in and having a chat. That's fine. There's some nice people in there. But I can't commit to 3 hours on a Friday because obviously I'm trading and streaming, and obviously I trade full time and Sundays. 3 hours on a Sunday is a bit hard. I got demanding wife and daughter. Yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah, I got demanding wife and daughter, and you know what women are like. 85. So there are sellers at 85 there, which you kind of expect. So that will be a second entry short. Now that is interesting. Now my only slight concern with selling there is there are quite a few sellers here. I would prefer that a little bit higher. So I'm going to sit tight here and not take this unless it goes a bit higher. It's, I don't know, maybe not be a terrible trade. I'm hoping the bar doesn't finish right. It's not going to anyway. But I can see there's about 400 contracts at 85 and just below. So around about this area, let's call it there. So if we can get into this area and get a bearish bar, then I'd be interested. I can't see many sell orders further up. There are some up here, but that's too high. So I would expect it to come down and test this. So they're not a huge amount. I don't think that's actually a bad trade there, to be honest with you. It does concern me slightly. So I'm going to wait for the lower high. It is a second entry short. You can recount that or restart it. It may work, but you can see there at 85, there's 150 contracts. There's 139. So there's quite a few sellers in this area right above that bear bar. Now, I don't think that bear bar's in a bad position, but this for me is a little bit risky. So I'm going to wait for the lower high. It's the safer option. This may just be taking a bit of heat and it may come down. It's not the worst trade in the world by far, but just because I can see sellers here, I'm going to wait for the lower high, which is the safer option. Now, I'd expect it to come down and test this. It's having quite a strong move down, so I would expect it to come down and test those. As I say, there are a larger amount of buyers here, but I'm just going to sit tight there. Someone's just put a comment, RIP second entry shorts. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I don't think it's a terrible trade. I just think it's a little bit more risky than I'd like. So So Thomas Wade said, so I can consider a second entry short at the EMA. So Thomas Wade may be in that trade. As I say, it's got a lot going for it. My slight concern, mind you, see if you look at 75 down here, there's quite a lot of buyers down here, but this is much closer. So for me, the second entry is the safer trade. You can recount this, so if we push up here and get a bearish, you can take a second entry short from there. Now, someone said it's reversing. There's no reason to reverse here. We've not hit a pivotal place. That's just for all, by the way. We've not hit a pivotal place to reverse here. Yeah, it's 2 legs down, but it's also looking like a channel to me. So, and as we've got a lot of buyers down here, they just may not be aware that there are buyers down here, and there are buyers a fair amount. So my guess is this is coming down. So there is a second entry short there. And the fact that that didn't get hit is interesting, but same again, waiting for the lower high. There's a second entry short stroke failure there, which is triggered. So there's like a double trap there. My only slight concern, it's a little bit congested. Leg up sideways. We may still get a second leg up here. It doesn't look terrible. You can have some stops there, I don't doubt, but I'm just sitting tight here. There's just something about all this I don't like. Often we'll go up, across, and up. We didn't hit the bottom here, so we haven't tested. You can see why there are buyers down here. Look at this. Buyers, 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 and off it took. So there are a lot of buyers down here, so that will give this thing a little bit of a pull. At the moment, we are in a downtrend, so that will give it that natural push as well. So with the downtrend and the buyers down here and sellers here, that tells me it gets up here, sellers will get in, and then down it'll come. So let's see what happens. Those sellers there are feathering out a little. I still wouldn't feel safe until there's going to be 2 lots of stops there. So I'm going to sit tight here. You may argue this is a triple test. I don't like triple tests when they're clumped together like that. So for me, I want it to go above there. As I say, those buyers at 85 aren't as strong as they were. But we shall see. I'm sitting and waiting. Okay, so if anybody did take those, the stop's got it. So let's see what kind of reaction we get now. So channel break. So up, across, and up. You got stopped out. Yeah. You know, when you've been trading a while, you just get used to a picture. For me, there's a certain picture. Now, what I'm seeing in front of my... See, every time you take a trade and you've got some sort of risk in the game, you're emotionally and financially invested in what this looks like. You're not having a quick glance at it and looking away. You're focused on it. And when you've seen that same picture so many times and it's lost, when you see it again, something in your head will go, I don't like this. There's something... And that kind of voice and that experience comes in time, and you'll go, there's something about this I don't like. When you get that feeling, leave it alone. But it's not clear, it's not super strong. And then once this appears there, it's going sideways now, and we see it all the time, up, across, and up, down, across, and down. So for me, I'm just not interested in it, and twice it would have saved me a loss there. Either of those trades. I know some traders who got in it and got stung. Yeah, Thomas Wade got in it and got stung as well. Not a big deal. It was a good trade. I beg to differ. I think it's too risky taking that. That's one of the bonuses of having Bookmap, because I can see there are sellers here. So I'm thinking to myself, am I right and they're all wrong? Maybe they're right. Maybe there's more of them than just me. So with that in my mind and this little bit of chop and not a strong looking picture, I'm sitting tight. And I can't tell you how many times I've saved. I wouldn't get in here anyway. It just doesn't feel right anyway. But the Bookmap just gives me confirmation that I'm looking along the same lines. So, all those little extra points, kind of notch up, don't they? So there is naturally a little bit of support resistance there. If you go left, you can kind of see it, can't you? Not so obvious, but I can kind of see it. So if we can get a push below that EMA, then this may come down. Now, there is always the possibility this could be a couple of legs down, and this may be moving up. For me, I'm not thinking about that at the moment because I can see strong buyers down here. So for me, it's more likely to go down. And we have got 2 legs up, and this is moving down now. So for me, the safer option is below the EMA. But that stung a few traders, and that one did as well. I'm surprised when it broke above there, it didn't have as much of a push. You have to be really careful when you get 2 clear legs down. Yeah, I mean, I'm always open to the fact that that might just be 2 legs, and then it might do something completely different. I've got it as a channel because it doesn't fit too bad, but I don't make a decision based on that. You're long, are you? Yeah, I'm not ready to go long at the moment. I'm a bit uncertain. We have got 2 legs up and a move down below that EMA, but it depends what happens here. This thing may take off. You never know. From channels, 2 legs down. Bookmap put me off that also sideways. There you go. So Bookmap put you off it, and you left it alone, and you save yourself a loss. So it does make a difference. I've been doing this 6 years, man. You just learn from experience. Absolutely. You drive yourself mad watching Mac ignore stuff. Yeah, I mean, Mac's good for when you're learning to trade, but I think with the lack of discussion about losses. Now, let's face it, Mac himself might not take losses, but you as a newer trader, or whoever starts as a newer trader, you will take losses, and you need to be prepared for that. But if you see someone who never really takes losses, never marks losses, a lot of people will be led to believe that, well, you shouldn't be losing unless you're making mistakes. Well, that might be true to a degree, but it's irrelevant when you're learning to trade. Your natural instinct is to want to try and make money, and you're going to put money in, and when you lose trades, it's going to frustrate you. So as much as, I can say a lot of nice things about Mac. I think he's an absolute gentleman. He's a lovely guy. What little he charges you. But I don't agree with, a lot of the things he does. He marks a dozen trades a day, which you clearly don't get. It's easy to mark a chart at the end of the day, but at the moment, if I take a short here, I don't know whether this is going to confirm as a downtrend. We could be doing something completely different. But at the end of the day, when I can see a whole channel, then I can say, well, okay, I can take a short here, I can take a short here. But in real time, when you've got to make decisions before bars kind of appear in front of your eyes, it's not that simple. So yeah, it might even mark it. Yeah, because it got 4 ticks. Yeah, see that one. Regardless of what he does, that one I can't see it because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 6 bars side by side, and for me, leg up across and leg up. That's what I expected at least. Now, I'm still not sure whether it's definitely going to come down. That's why I wait for that push down and that lower high confirmation that it's more likely going to come down. And if it does come down, it'll be hitting stops here, stops here, stops here. And that then generally gives it that momentum. But, nothing takes away from experience. Every year I sit here, I feel more and more confident because I understand the shortfalls and understand where things miss and understand when things. And the only way you learn really is to sit here. What Max says, if you think a trade is valid, you need to take it. Doesn't matter whether it wins or loses. The more trades you take, and I don't just mean you take any old trade, you still kind of wait for a trade that adheres to the rules. And the more times you do that, you'll win some, lose some. But with the losses, you do learn. When you've seen that scenario play out so many times, you start to go, oh, I've been here before, and you get that kind of feeling. And that's what I do. I don't bother counting anymore. I'm looking for a certain picture that looks right. Otherwise, I'll leave it alone. And two things will happen. You'll take less trades and you'll win more money. But, you've obviously got to, adapt to the other side, the psychological side as well, which is by far the hardest bit. And same again, that just comes in time. The more times you bash your head against the wall, you start to realize that it hurts. And you got to let it go. Watched Matt video the other day. He was so full of shit. It was hilarious. Yeah, I don't think he does it on purpose. It's just Mac's way. He's so set in that mindset. He's been doing it that long. He's so set in his mindset. Some people are good traders. Some people are good teachers. I don't doubt Mac makes good money and he's a good trader. He's very good at what he does. But, from a teaching point of view, what we see on the YouTube channel, I think it can be more detrimental. That's my personal opinion. And I know it's not everybody's. But, when you've had a bit of experience, you know how it works. I know how trading works. I've been doing it long enough now to know how things work. And I think I've said this before. When I was watching Mac's video and he was marking a dozen high probability trades, I was thinking, why am I not seeing that many? And why am I losing and Mac's not losing? Do you know what I mean? So I think it's more detrimental personally. As a new trader, trading Pat's, I would absolutely recommend, joining his website and learning how to do it. But just keep in mind, you are going to take losses. It is going to be difficult. But until you have a go at trading, you've really got no idea how difficult it is. Now, I'm obviously speaking from my point of view, but I've spoken to many traders over the last 5 years, and everyone more or less goes through the same thing. There are obviously some exceptions. Some people, might be just naturally good at it, and some people might be super focused and disciplined in their normal life, and that probably, that'll probably help them, of course. But for the most part, everyone goes through the same shit. People rave about how good Vlad is. I don't doubt he is. He's certainly very knowledgeable. But if you listen to his story, he's been right, in the depths of depression and suicidal. So he's gone through it all. So if you do keep turning up and you keep learning and you keep trying, you are gonna hit some tough times. There's no two ways about it. But sometimes when you get to those levels, that's when you kind of start to lift your head up and start to change. Quite often you got to hit rock bottom. It didn't sound nice, does it? But in a lot of cases, it's when people get pretty low that sometimes that mindset starts to change and you get that kind of acceptance of it. I feel it now. I feel really, look at that. I feel really peaceful with trading. Massive amount of aggressive sellers. Look, that went up to 18 million compared to, and that's what pushed that. So there's a lot of sellers selling there. Look at that thing. Hold on a minute. Is there some sort of news? That almost looked news-based. No, I don't think it is. I just think there's a lot of sellers there, I think. But yeah, there's your new low. Yeah, you'd understand why there's sellers there. And not only that, I did see a massive amount of aggressive sellers. It went up to 18 million there. So that pushed that down initially. And they're probably taking profits here, hence the snapback. But yeah. So I can't see what Max sees. Yeah, you're not going to be. I mean, the guy's been trading 28 years. Every year. I mean, I think about what I can see now compared to what the charts seem relatively straightforward to me now. I don't see how you can get them wrong, really, but thinking about how I used to think, it completely confused me. I was in an uptrend. I was taking second entry shorts and wondering why they weren't working. So, it is surprising. You don't think, when I look at trading now, and I think that's pretty straightforward, but I know for a newer trader, it isn't. And it's just something that happens in time, really. It's hard to, it's kind of hard to explain it, but until you've really had a go at trading, until you've, completely gone on tilt many, many times and blown many accounts, until you go through that and you get a real taste for it, you really don't know how difficult it is. And it goes without saying, what do they say? There's a 98% failure rate. I understand why. But don't let that put you off. That's purely and simply down to traders thinking this is too difficult. And they don't give it enough time. I know my brother-in-law did it for a while, I think on and off for a year and a half. Last time I saw him, he said, I don't need that in my life. So, and it's not for everyone. Some people have got, busy jobs, busy lives, mortgages, families. You've obviously got to concentrate on your main job and you've got to keep an income coming in. So it's not for everyone, that's for certain. So we have had some new. I wonder if that was something to do with the. No, it wasn't. I was going to say, was that something to do with the oil that moved down? But no, that's already done, dusted. I just think you can see there's obviously a lot of support there, so it's just sellers selling that. I think you can see the aggressive sellers rocket up. Pothery, in 2 sentences, can you say why you didn't take it? You on about this one here? My guess is it was probably going to come down, but we had sellers here, so I wanted to give this the benefit of the doubt, so I left it. And then we had a push down. Fair enough. I was looking for a little break and a lower high here. That would give you confirmation, but it's hard to explain sometimes. It's just something I didn't like about it. So, you know what? You hear Max say you got to wait for the high, lower, lower high, and that was my option there. Now, we had a lower high there, but then it's just stacked up, which makes it riskier straight away. So I definitely didn't take that then. And then when I've got sellers up here, I had to wait for those 2 legs back and then see what was going to happen. It's hard sometimes to explain to people how things work, which is why I don't think you can teach someone to trade. You can give them the basics and give them guidance, say why they don't think certain things work. But really, it's one of those types of jobs where you've got to get out and get your hands dirty and get a feel for it. I was a bricklayer for a while. I could tell you how to put one brick on another. I could say, tap it there, put a little bit more muck on it. And I could get you to build a wall. Might look a little bit out of shape, it might not be plumb or whatever, but I could get you to do it because it's quite straightforward and hands-on. But with trading, it's a bit different. It's kind of almost like a bit of an art, really. It's something you just get with. In fact, no, it's not an art. It's just a skill. It's just a skill that takes time. Unfortunately, the differences with bricklaying and trading, bricklaying, you can go to college. It doesn't really cost you anything, and you can get a small wage while you're learning. But trading doesn't work that way. And news in China, Nvidia chip purchase stocks. China tells tech companies to halt Nvidia. Oh, is that why you think that move down was? I have heard Nvidia are putting their prices up. I've heard they're doubling their prices on their GPUs. I don't know how true that is. So you think that's what might have done there? Yeah, it kind of did look news related. The fact that it was here, you'd expect sellers, and I saw aggressive sellers push up, but it did the way it moved down and so quick and so precise. I did think the first thing I thought is news. So yeah, perhaps that was what it was. It certainly makes sense. Yeah, I have heard that Nvidia are doubling their prices. I don't know how true that is. I mean, Nvidia really are more or less got the monopoly, haven't they, on GPUs? GPUs were expensive, weren't they? That's when everyone was mining, and then all of a sudden, when energy prices hit the roof, just didn't become viable anymore, so the prices just dropped. Thomas Wade said he'd consider a second entry long above the EMA. We've come down here, literally touched there, and then off we came. So, leg and a leg. Yeah, you'd probably expect prices to get up here, wouldn't you? Okay, yeah. Someone's just posted that China tech tells companies to halt Nvidia. So yeah, Justin, yeah, you're right, bud. So that's what it'll have been. Uh, it's a bit annoying because if you're in a, mind you, if you'd have been trading longer, you'd have probably got out here. But it is frustrating when it does that. And when it does it, it always seems to be in the opposite direction from where you're trading. Mind you, who was I watching? I think What's It put out a video. Wilson put out a video of him taking a live trade or something, maybe a couple of months before Christmas, and he brought his profit down here, and we had some news, and it rocketed down. It pushed down, small pullback. You could see him grabbing his stock, trying to follow it down, but it went straight down. Uh, and I think it $900 profit per account, per 20 accounts. So he did well that day. When is the last time you took a trade? Don't think I've seen you take. I haven't, mate. I took one. I think a week and a half before Christmas. I got out for 2 points, and that's it. I mean, Christmas is taking a week and a half out of it anyway. But yeah, I haven't. I would have taken one yesterday if I'd have been a little bit earlier. I like that one. But when I got to the chart, it was already here moving up. And I tried to switch everything on Replicanto, and you got to tick all the boxes, haven't you? And I didn't get in quick enough, to be honest with you. So it is moved up, never new high, but there's no entry, unfortunately. It's just up, it's gone. Yeah, I think I've taken about 2 trades in the last 3.5 weeks, something like that. Maybe even a touch longer. that couple of weeks leading up to Christmas was quiet. Obviously, over Christmas is a little bit dicey, and it's taken a little bit getting into it. That's just a shame I missed that one yesterday. 5 minutes early, and I've been all right. So, there are sellers there. They've been up there a while. Okay, I'm just going to take a bathroom break. I'll just be a quick minute. What happened? That was China telling tech companies to halt NVIDIA H200 chip orders. It just kind of came out of nowhere, really. It happened at the top, so we weren't sure whether there was just a large amount of sellers there. But then I think Justin mentioned it in the chat, and then someone popped that on there. So yeah, that's what that'll have been. So really, mainly just a range day so far, isn't it? Get rid of that. Didn't quite get down there. Still orders at 75, but I can't see that getting down there right now. Okay, so a couple of legs up. There is a channel break, new high, bearish bar. I'm not interested in these. They're hit and miss. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. There are some sellers just above where, so there's about 400 contracts, about 1.5 to 2.5, which is around here, and 2.5 there. So I wouldn't be taking a short there. I'd expect it to get above that bear bar there. I think the only chance this has got is to get this lower high quickly. But there are still sellers here. You can see them just below 92. Just below 92.5. Around about there. Certainly where you'd expect stops to be. why I wouldn't take that. I'd just be guessing that it would go short there. Now, granted, it's been up here before, but I'd be guessing that it's going to come down. Now, it may well do, but for me, really, we have got two legs up. You want a lower high further down, really. And another reason that if you look on Bookmap, see some orders at Bookmap around about 92.25, which is right where your stop would be. So there are sellers there. There's 176 contracts there. So I'm waiting because a lot of the time it'll trigger you and hit them. And not only that, it's going a bit sideways now, so you never know. It may work. But for me, I think it's risky. I think you're much better off taking the lower high, really, to be a safer. If you get a lower high here, then there's a good chance then it's going to get down to that EMA. But it's clearly going sideways now. But you can see that yellow line there where I'm pointing to. It's about 92.25. It's more likely to hit that than it is to come down first. And not only that, you've got two bull bars here very close to that stop. So half the time it gets so close to these stops, it'd be a crying shame not to take them out first before traders decided maybe that they want to get in short. But who knows? We've been up here before. We've broken out here before. So it has taken its stop out, see. So you just get used to it. They're just not worth taking. As a newer trader and you're not risking anything, I'd take them because you kind of learn, but you just can't take it. It's a bit vague, and it wouldn't have worked. So it's hard. It's quite swingy at the moment. It's clearly arranging, but a lot of the times you just never know. I mean, the thing going for it is we've got two legs up clearly. Now, as it's picked up more sellers, this may now bring it down. So there are sellers up there, but we've been up here before. There, and we haven't managed to get out. The further away these are, the less of a pull they have. So it may go down from here, but it's May. I got no idea. I got no idea whether this is going to come down or go up. The only thing that makes me think this is going to come down is if we get a push below the EMA, get a second entry long, trap some longs, and start to work down. That tells me then I've got enough confirmation to at least trade this short. But trading is one of those things. The longer you've been doing it, the easier things are to see, and you realise where the traps are and where the weak trades are and the weak entries. You know, you've always got to take a really strong entry, and if you do that, strong, obvious entry, if you do that, other traders will see it and trade that same area, and you'll have much better. It's taken me 5 years of screwing up, to realise where to stay out. But it's practice and experience. That's all it is. You've just got to keep coming back and trading. Unfortunately, it does take a long time, but you can earn considerable amounts of money at it. So, you'd be a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. You're going to be studying for a lot of years. So, you can potentially get a lot more money than they do. That's for certain. And work a lot less hours and have a lot less stress. Any type of job where you can earn this significant amounts of money is never going to be easy. Otherwise, every man and his dog's going to be doing it. Left and came back. Please explain why you didn't say that. Yeah, we don't know. A lot of people took on Matt's group in Discord. I will pay you whatever hourly rate, mate. I don't charge anything, mate. I'm just here like you, just making me way. Anytime you want to ask me a question, fire away, mate. You can even message me on YouTube. I'm quite happy on the Facebook Messenger. I'm quite happy to chat trade, mate. I don't charge people. I've had enough help from people, and as far as I'm concerned, it's all about helping each other. So ask away, mate. It's just a bit vague. You don't know. Sometimes they'll work, sometimes they won't, but there's no real confirmation there that that's going to continue down. So the best thing to do is, if you're a newer trader, then I'd say just take what you think's a good trade, and that's how you learn. You have to trade to lose, to know, where to stay out of. And at some point, you'll start to go, there's something about this I don't like this, and it would have triggered you and stopped you out. And then you start to get that, okay, now I'm starting to. What you on about? 1022. You on about here, were you, bud? On about there. You say 1022. I've got 322. I'm guessing it's more or less. You must be talking about that, I think, aren't you? Yeah. So I had it like this. Now, whether it is or not, I don't know. But touch, touch, touch. It doesn't look too bad. Now, it actually doesn't look a bad trade at first glance. But Bookmap was telling me that there were sellers here. Now, the more buyers or sellers and passive sellers, when I say passive sellers, I mean if I get a limit order and leave it there, and that will show up on Bookmap and basically say if price comes up here and it's my passive sell order, I'll be in a trade. And the more these passive orders are sat at certain areas, these areas, like you can see at 7,000, that's quite a way away. But these act like magnets, like the kind of EMA, and it pulls prices towards them. So above these two sell orders here, above these two bare bars, there was a bunch of sellers. So that's part of the reason why I left it. I did say it's not a bad trade, but I'm going to wait for the lower high. We did get a lower high, but then we got a little bit sideways then. So whenever price starts to go sideways, that rings alarm bells. Things can change, and that kind of is an area of indecision. There's maybe some longs trapped, some shorts trapped there. So you've got to stay out of that sort of stuff and wait for it to break out, and possibly. So we broke out, hit the sellers, took out any liquidity and moved down nice and strong. So that's a good sign. So then I'd be waiting for a little break and a bearish bar, trapping some longs. That would give me confirmation then that it's more likely going to come down. But we didn't get that. So the best thing I can say to you really is just trade. Just keep taking trades. Mac's good to learn from. His website teaching you how to trade, but it comes with experience. It really does. It's one of those jobs, the longer you've been doing it, the better you get at it, and the better you get, and the more mistakes you make, you learn those areas to stay out of them, and so on and so forth. But it takes a long time. I don't like this price action. Someone big is loading shorts. Yeah, it's not the easiest of stuff, is it? It's been a bit flat for 3-4 weeks now. I know What's It mentioned yesterday. Now, I know Dan's been trading, he's a good trader. He's been trading a while, and he said he had back-to-back days where he never took a trade. Now, I'm not like that. Dan goes for less points than me. I go for double what he goes, so I wouldn't necessarily take some trades he takes. But then I was speaking to Vladdy before Christmas. He said he hadn't taken a trade for 2 weeks, hadn't said anything. So it's been a bit hard lately. Now, if you trade on a valuation or something like that, you're probably going to take more trades. But I've got 20 accounts on the go, so a win for me is $3,000. So I want to make sure it's a good win. And a loss for me is that, or possibly a touch more. So when you've got 20 accounts on the go, you've got to be a little bit more certain. But that's the beauty about having lots of accounts. You can trade a small amount on each one, and it makes. It makes up for it. So I don't want to risk $3,500 if I'm not certain the trade's going to win, or as certain as I can be. He says, no, well, you can purchase Bookmap, but I don't. It's free to watch on YouTube. That's it there. So just type in Bookmap Live ES, and that's it. Just make sure, because a guy just records this, make sure it's the one that's playing live and just confirm prices are the same, because you can watch one from last week. And all this does is it doesn't cost me anything then, see? I can see where the imbalance of sellers and buyers are, and I can see where these big passive buyers and sellers are. See how it's slowly trying to work up to this area now? The closer it is to these, the more chance it's got of hitting them, and obviously the larger it is as well. If you look down here, there's not much in the way of larger orders. They're there, so my guess is it's probably going to continue up. See, man, you're doing this. Yeah, absolutely. This is just, I'm just watching this live on YouTube, so it kind of just gives me an idea of where buyers and sellers are, and it just helps me make better decisions. Who showed me this? I'll show you. I learnt this from a guy called Mac. I'm going to do you a solid here because he charges. Hold on a minute. Let me just move this out. Okay, so this is the guy, and Mac's been trading for, it's got to be 28 years plus. And that's his website, and he charges the grand total of $125 per year. There's dozens of videos on here showing you how to read this. There's pictures, there's video lessons, there's all sorts of stuff on here. There's little add-ons and that. And he puts a YouTube video out every day. He's done that for the last 14 years. So this is a really good system to learn, in my opinion. But no one is going to give you this type of system here for $125 for a year. So it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah, Mac. Yeah, it's great that for the money. I mean, you can't knock that, to be honest with you. It's brilliant for the money. So he's a nice guy. There are a few things I don't agree with how he marks his charts at the end of the day. I think he marks too many setups because you don't really see that in real time. But as for a trader and a nice guy and an incredibly cheap price to learn, you're not going to go wrong with that. Just keep it in mind. It's going to take you a few years to really get to grips with it. It's not easy. It looks easy, but it isn't. But I'll give you a piece of advice. If you do decide to go down the prop firms and get yourself an evaluation, only ever have one at a time. Have a little bit of skin in the game so you know what it feels like, but don't load up until you start to make money, and that's the time to start growing. But don't run before you can walk. Trend lines and ranges look 70% sometimes. Yeah, it does take time, mate. The only way to learn this is just to do a bit every day and keep coming back and keep practicing. It's like anything. If you're a carpenter, you're going to be screwing things up left, right, and centre. The more you've been doing it, the more you handle wood, the more you get more proficient with your tools. You're going to be neater. It's going to be quicker. And it's the same kind of thing. It's a skill that, you know, that just takes time. Ups and downs and all that sort of thing, but really be careful how much you spend, because you can throw away an absolute stack of money. I know I've done it. No. Bookmap. See, when you're learning to trade, you're probably going to spend half your life on YouTube. And I've had Bookmap on and off for a year and a half, maybe. Because a lot of people rave about it, and I've had it on, and I've never really paid more attention to it. And then maybe a few months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, I started looking at it, and I was paying more attention to it. And I noticed I noticed something and I thought, oh yeah, there is a setup there, but I wouldn't take that. There was a bunch of stops above it, bunch of sellers above it. But the trade didn't look too bad, and I noticed 3 or 4 people took it on one of the Facebook group, on one of the Discords, and they all got stung, and it kind of got me paying a bit more attention. The trouble is, as a single trader, as a retail trader, you're stuck by yourself in a room. What you can see is what's happened in the past. It can give you an indication of where it's been as to where it's likely going to go, but it doesn't necessarily really give you any more. And there's millions of other traders out there, but you don't know exactly what they're thinking. So when you look at Bookmap, you can see where other traders are interested in buying and selling. And if I'm looking to sell here and there's 500 sellers up here, then the more sellers are up there, the more chance price has got to push towards them. So it'll just help you make better decisions. So we've got a channel here with a break, 2 pushes to a new high. There is a lower high there. I'd say there's a good chance this is going to come back to the EMA. There's going to be a bit of liquidity here. There's probably some buying there, but it's just a bit vague as to what else it's telling me. I mean, there could be something like that. It doesn't look fantastic. Most of the day it's been ranging, so generally when it comes up, it goes down. But you don't know this time whether it might push up a bit higher. So the only way I consider going short really is if it's below the EMA, but at the moment everything's above that EMA. So you don't know whether it's going to trigger you and push up, or you don't know whether it's going to come rocketing down. You can't really know at the moment. Scale down to preserve your account. Don't, unless you have to. What's that on there? Unless you have a free reset. Yeah. The best bit of advice I can give you if to go down now, don't even consider putting your own money in an account. Forget it. You're risking way too much and you'll lose it. I tell you that now. You are going to lose money. You're going to blow lots of accounts. So the best thing you can do is minimize your risk and minimize your losses. And the best way to do that is to get one cheaper valuation at a time. Trade it properly. Don't try like I did and like 95% of other people. Don't try and take risks and try and get lucky to get it to PA level, because you'll get it to PA level, you'll pay $100 or whatever it is, and you'll lose that as well. I guarantee it. So the only way to start moving on to making money from a PA account is to do it organically, i.e. get there through skill that you've built up. It's almost damn impossible to do, and you'll go through that, but only ever get one evaluation at a time and the damage will be limited. But also keep in mind, you can't learn to trade without losing money. Like you can't go to university and get a degree in the UK without it costing you £10,000-12,000 per year. Education costs money, unfortunately, so just keep that in mind that you are paying for an education. So, don't look upon it as an investment as well, but do keep control of your purse strings. I can't stress that enough. Daryl, how you doing, bud? It's really easy to fall into the... Yeah, you're right. And go, Matt's go, oh, mate, we've all done it, haven't we? We've all done it. To take profit trader. Oh, your account is a take profit trader. See, as a new trader, I would recommend you don't go to take profit trader because you're paying about $105. Now, granted, there's no payment when you get to PA level, but in all honesty, as a newer trader, you ain't going to get there. If you do, you're going to be lucky. So the best thing for you to do is to buy the cheapest evaluation you can. Don't think about making money when you're new, because you ain't going to, I assure you. Just think about getting a bit of experience of what it feels like to having a bit of skin in the game, and keep it cheap. Now there is a failure here. Second entry long triggered, but at the moment we're still above that EMA, so I don't want to assume this is coming down and go short, because it may bounce here and push higher, so it's not clear. There is a failure, and you may stop that bar out, but you may not. You know, you may end up having a channel like that. It's certainly possible, but I don't want to go short into that because there's a lot of support and resistance there, so I don't know whether it's going to bounce and push up. But good thing to say to people, emotions can be real. Absolutely. Emotions can mentally cripple you. So just be smart. When you're paying for things, just be smart. Don't throw your money away. You got to try and preserve it. Because I tell you something now, they did a poll on the Facebook group, maybe 12 months ago. How long did it take you to become consistently profitable? And the biggest amount was between 4 and 6 years. So you're really going to be looking at between 4 and 6 years, if I'm honest. I really mean that. Now, there are probably people who do it a bit quicker, but I would be looking at 4 to 6 years is about right. And it sounds, God, really? It looks easy. It does. But you can earn a lot of money in trading, more money than you can doing nearly everything else. And you wouldn't think about going to university or college for 3 to 5 years. So don't let that put you off. But just keep it in mind, it's going to be a long haul. It does take time. I'll be going for hour 45. I may have a 5-minute break here and go make myself a drink. I'll get a bit dry in the gob. Marco makes it look so easy. Yeah, absolutely. It does look easy. I mean, you've got bars going up and bars going down. To get into a trade, all I've got to do is click a button. It's so easy to get into a trade. But the trouble is, you need obviously to put a stop loss as well. Otherwise, you're risking losing the whole account. And that's the problem, the stop loss. If you didn't have a stop loss, you're going to win more trades. But you're risking accounts and you can't trade like that. And in all honesty, you want to try and avoid bad habits like that from the get-go. Never move, put your stop in, never move your stop. I can't tell you how many accounts I've blown because I moved my stop. So where you put your stop losses, if you go long here, put your stop loss there, leave it. Don't touch it. If it loses, it loses. But every time you lose, you're learning. You slowly, tapping at those brain cells there, and your skill level is slowly growing. Although you might not be aware of it because most of your focus is going to be on how frustrated you are because it's not doing what you think. You file for divorce. It does help as well if you've got a supportive partner. I'm lucky there. My wife's been okay, actually. But considering I've been trading for 5 years now, she's still backing me. So, is this going up or down? See, 1 minute, it looks like it's a failure. Now, that failure never triggered anyway, but if I'm looking at Bookmap now, what can I see? I can see that yellow band around about 95, which is there. Where's 95? Right above that bearish bar and right up here as well. And we know there's been those sellers up there for a long time. Now, that's still quite a way away, and it might turn down before it gets up there. But at the moment, there are more sellers up here than there are buyers down here. So my guess is it's more than likely going to continue up. But I've got nothing here. There's nothing that is showing me any interest in getting into a trade here. Can't get my tilting check, nothing to do. Okay, I'll give you the answer. For any new traders out there, there's a simple answer. Now, every book you'll read talks about tilt, going on tilt or revenge trading, whatever you want to call it. And that is your emotions kicking in. When you start to panic and you realise you're losing money or something's going wrong, you panic. it's that fight or flight thing. It happens to all human beings. Now, every book I've ever read talks about it and says you need to change your mindset, but no one's really explained how it happens. The simple answer is you need to expose yourself for long enough for those emotions to become less of an issue. You can't do so. So, for instance, there's a couple of examples I use. If you've ever done any boxing, first time you get into a ring, you're going to shit your pants. You panic, you're going to be swinging and slapping like a girl. But if you continue to train 2, 3, 4 years, you're going to be able to hold your punches. You're going to be able to control your emotions. You're going to be able to pick your punches. That's how professional boxers don't get into a ring and start swinging like crazy, because they've exposed themselves to those emotions for long enough to get used to it. So eventually those emotions, so the easiest way I can describe this, so if you look at a seesaw, in fact, that's probably not the best way. If you look at a seesaw, so a seesaw, you've got seesaws wherever you go, I think. So seesaw in the UK, something like that. It's a kid's toy, isn't it? So it's like that, yeah? One kid gets on one side, another kid gets on the other side, and they go up and down. So when you start trading, your seesaw will be like that. Your skill level will be down here, and your emotional level will be up here. And that's the way it'll stay. And as you slowly get more skill, that side starts to go up. And as you get slowly used to those emotions, that side will start to come down. And over time, that'll keep happening. And sooner or later, you'll get to that point where you'll hit it, where it'll start to pivot in your direction. The emotions will start to get less and less, and your skill level will start to get better and better. And that's when things start to change. That will start to get less and less. And when you see your skill level getting better and you're going less on tilt and you see your account start to grow, you'll all of a sudden get that realization, why didn't I do this earlier? That's purely and simply the way human emotions work. But that's what you're looking for, that the skill level to start to tilt in your favor and the emotional level. It takes a long time, but it will happen. You can't keep doing this every single day and those emotions and that fight or flight to be exactly the same. It's impossible. You get used to it. But it takes time. It's took me really, I'd say 4.5 years. In fact, only really recently did I stop panicking. Maybe 4 or 5 months ago, did I start to feel at peace with the markets. I don't feel like I'm battling them anymore. I'm just doing it like it's supposed to be. And when you do that, things start to work. You're still going to take losses and you still have to accept them. But that's where you can get things like Guardian Angel Trader. I still have Guardian Angel Trader on now, 1 loss, and I'm done for the day. Just stops you getting into that danger zone. If you're finding that you go on tilt when you've taken a loss, get Guardian Angel Trader. If I take a loss now, it won't let me trade now till tomorrow. So you take away that danger. But it will take time. You're welcome, mate. It does take time, but it will happen. And that's where there's a big failure rate, because most people think, screw this, and they give up. Yeah, don't. Another thing as well to keep it in mind is don't torture yourself. Don't beat yourself up when things go wrong. Just keep it in mind. This is part of the process. I assure you it's part of the process, and it's going to be painful and you're going to lose money, but keep control of those purse strings and you'll make the damage minimal. But expect to feel damn right miserable and frustrated at times. But just keep coming back. I can't tell you how much a break. I think it was last Christmas, not the one just gone, the one before, that I went for a stage of being frustrated, and I took the full break off. Trading is also very addictive. because you want to do well. You think every minute you're away from the charts, that the charts aren't going to survive without you. They are. It's a sensible thing to do, to take a break. I've found it near damn impossible. Even a few times where I've said I'm taking a break from streaming, I've still traded because it's quite addictive. But now I shut down on a Friday and I can walk away, and I'm not really interested in trading over the weekend. I'm in a good balance at the moment. So take a break. It's good for you. It gives you a chance to calm down. You know, if you're all wound up, if you've had a row with your wife or your husband, what's the best thing to do? You go away and calm down, because if you come back within 15 minutes, the slightest thing is going to set you off again. So take a break. It is important. It does you wonders. Get out and have a walk, get some fresh air, go and lift some weights in the gym, whatever it takes. But if you're finding you're frustrated and you're just throwing money at it, you've got to get away. Otherwise, it's just going to keep happening. So take a few days, take a couple of days, take a week. But come back feeling a bit fresher and it'll be easier. So, is this coming down now? Well, there's not a massive amount of sellers here because it hasn't really gone anywhere. So we got a little channel with a break and a new low. I don't know. It's hard to say at the moment. You don't know whether this thing's going to take off. We're clearly ranging at the moment, but is it going to come down? Based on what I'm seeing, more likely, but certainly not super convincing. If we get a couple of legs up here, then that may be of interest, but it does seem like we're trying to trend down, at least temporarily. So where can I see sellers? There are sellers around here. There's certainly some around about 92.5, which is there. I'd certainly like to see it test this area before I even considered going short. Trouble is, there are sellers here and buyers here, so it's might be why it's so choppy. I don't trade every day. If I feel sick, bad, tired, bad mood. Absolutely. If you're in a bad mood or you've had an argument or something like that, yeah, don't trade. Because you do take it out on the markets. If you're frustrated, it's going to come out in your trading. I think you do get used to knowing after a while. You know, I'm a pretty calm guy, but there are some times where I feel a bit out of sorts. But sometimes I'll just trade here and just watch the charts, and sometimes I know I'm not too interested in taking a trade. Sometimes it's good to just, I'm lucky in a way because I've got a way to vent. I can chat to you guys, so you know, talking about stuff helps you, doesn't it? It calms you down a bit. So, but also, doesn't matter what anybody else does. Do what you think's right. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or how stupid you think you look. It doesn't matter. It's the only way you learn, really, by doing what you think's right. You have to kind of manipulate your own mindset. I know when I traded for the first year and a half, I put my chart on the Facebook group every day, and I got some weird comments. When I started streaming, I got ripped to pieces sometimes because I'd done stupid stuff, and it gets to you. It does. I mean, I've gone away feeling right miserable after someone's mentioned something in the comments, but now you're more experienced. People leave you alone then because they know you kind of, you know what you're doing. But there was one particular guy, I think they used to call him Money Max. He said some horrible things to me. I remember showing my wife and feeling really miserable. And it's hard when someone says something to one. So I ended up blocking him in the end, and I ended up stopping the comments. And then after about a year, I decided to put the comments back on. And who was the first comment I had? That same guy. You almost feel like you're being stalked sometimes, but I know what I'm doing now. So if someone says you don't know what you're talking about, I know they're full of shit now because I've been trading long enough to know how it works. You remembered. Yeah, it's frustrating. People can say some horrible things to you. They really can. I don't know why they do it. Uh, uh, I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is. So if anybody's ever messaged me, I don't give them a ribbon about it. I just give them a pep talk and just try and lift them up. Because when you're feeling miserable, having a go at someone and telling them they're screwing up and they're making big mistakes isn't going to really help them. You've got to give them a bit of lift and then just give them a bit of guidance. So, this is a toxic environment. It can be. I've met some good people, though. I haven't had too many problems. It's only been a couple of people, maybe 2 or 3 people, and I've been streaming 3 years, and I've just had negative stuff. But I've had a lot of good stuff as well. You know, we always have good conversations. No, I don't get it. We've always had good conversations. But people like Dan and Marco, loads of people I've had some really good help and advice from, which is why I would never want to teach this or charge everyone, because I've had so much free advice. Why would I capitalize on it? People have helped me. I think it's about helping other people. We're all in the same boat. We're all in this flipping, what do they call it? Let's call it a nightmare of a merry-go-round, for want of a better word. But we all go through it. I don't understand it because there's no competition. It doesn't matter whether I've got a trader sat next to me. It doesn't matter whether I win and he loses. It doesn't affect each other. So there's no competition. So I don't get why people are like that. But I don't know, if people are feeling it and they're having a tough time, sometimes they want to take it out on other people. But right, what's going on here? Too much male ego. It may be that, yeah. I'm going to say I haven't had any negative stuff from any ladies, but there isn't many female traders, which is odd. I make no mistake. I think women make better traders. Guys are we're too boyish, aren't we? We're too laddish. We want our own way. I think we're full of testosterone. We've got that natural instinct to not lose, haven't we? So we've got a bit of a channel down here with a break. Trouble is, it's so choppy. It's hard to figure out exactly to catch it in that right direction. I'd like to test this and get a bit of a reaction, a bit of I'm looking for sort of some kind of rejection here. Trouble is, there may be a little channel here with an overshoot, so we may get something like that. But we have pushed in this range. We've been out this range once before, and it did make an attempt, and we're out of it again for a second time, and we have pushed back in. So if we can get some kind of leg a break or a second entry short that gives us some strong rejection, we may get a lower high or something. So sellers, see, this whole area, if you look at these buyers and sellers, they're all pretty even. The only large chunks I can see is up there at 7,000, but we've got, 130, 140, 170, and we've got the same down here. So I think this move really, if it's a decent setup, is probably going to be more fueled by aggressive sellers. So we've moved in now, and we are testing this area here. And this, I will say, this kind of overnight highs, if you want to call it that, or yesterday's highs, has played quite a part. It's played quite a strong part throughout, well, the whole day, really. So this kind of looks like a hidden second entry short. Now, depends how you look at this. If we've got this, there may be an overshoot, so I would want a lower high, really. I wouldn't just want to jump in there because you never quite know. And there's also a little bit of a micro channel there, so that doesn't look great either. So possible overshoot there, depends where you've got that. See, that's where I'd have initially had it. So in fact, I'm going to leave that there. So maybe there's an overshoot. The haters are not profitable. Yeah. There was a guy that used to come on my stream when I first started 3 years ago. And he'd say a bunch of things to me. And he said to me, you want to listen to a guy who makes 6 figures every month. And I'm thinking, you're making $100,000 a month. And I'm thinking, why are you here watching me then? You know what I mean? You don't know about people really. So it's hard to, and I don't know, someone messaging, having a go at you saying you're doing all this wrong. And I know even a few years later, he said all your channels are wrong. And I know he was full of crap because my channels will look the same as Mac's, the same as Dan's, the same as this. But once you've been trading a while, you know they're all full of it. But some people, I don't know, some people just like saying negative stuff. I don't know why. So it is pretty much ranging. But you don't know how long it's going to do this for, before it decides to shoot off in some kind of a weird direction. So can't go short just yet, really, because if it is an overshoot, we may end up doing something like that. You're heading out, are you? You take it easy, bud. So on this chart, we got a little, well, is it a break? It's hard to say, actually. It's negligible, and there is a lower high here, but I'm sitting tight here. I've been caught out in these before. It may come down, but I'm sitting tight. It's a bit congested here. A little bit there. So it's a bit sideways, so we could pop up a bit. So you've got to be a bit careful here. EMA's flat as well, so so if you took that lower high on this second chart, you'd be feeling it a bit now, wouldn't you? So it is a bit congested. It may work, but for me, channel break, you may argue there's a new high. I'm not so sure, but it's clearly going sideways. So sometimes you get into these trades and it'll pop up and take you out and then end up going in that same direction. So I'm just sitting tight at the moment. Same again on this chart. We've just finished the doji. The EMA doesn't look any flatter than that. So you don't know whether we're going to just have a quick pop up. There's going to be liquidity around this area. See, so you just don't know, dear. But I've given up trades like this. You get caught out so many times. Sometimes they'll work, but there is now, if that's channel in there, we've now got a second entry long, which may trigger, but it's still congested, so I don't even want to go long. So I'm just sitting tight. We'll just see, we'll let it sort itself out, but it's clearly congested there, so you've got to be careful. Finally, a man listens. We'll celebrate. I'll have a whiskey for you tonight. Tonight, Karina. It takes us. We are out there. Well, there are some of us out there that listen. He's the only lady you know, but we do listen to you. We're scared of you. That's what it is. You keep us on track, mind you. I didn't listen to you that time. I was moving my stop. If I'd have listened to you, I may have lasted a bit longer on those accounts. But trouble is, sometimes when you panic, you don't tend to listen to anyone, do you? So there's Bear's Trap there, and there's Bull's Trap there. Where's it going to go? What's going to give in first? But you can clearly see it sideways. So my guess is if you took that, it's going to get stopped out. Maybe that, because that looks like a channel with a break. So there goes that stop. Let's see what happens now. I'll be surprised if it doesn't go above there. There you go. So if you think, oh yeah, break, there we go, lower high. Trigger just stops you out. You do get used to seeing this sort of stuff after a while. As I say, there could be an overshoot there, in which case it's created this. So I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break. Yeah, it's another tricky day today. It is chopping around, isn't it? And every time we get to the bottom, we're hitting at a different level. And every time we get to the top, with the exception of maybe these early few, but that was kind of before we really started trading. So it's so hard to trade this. I like this type of thing, channel break, new high like that, and then get a nice bearish bar, but I can't see it happening at the moment. I don't know where I'd want to go really. So I'm going to leave you with that just for 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes. I'm going to take a quick break, make a cup of tea, and I'll be back. I thought I'd have one of these instead, warm the cockles a bit. Cheers, everyone. Happy New Year. Richard, take it easy, bud. Take it easy. You need a whisker review channel. I should do. There is a guy I watch, actually, a Scottish guy. I've been watching him for a few years. So, let's have a look at this. That's what I mean. See, 1 minute it's looking like it's pulling in, then all of a sudden off it trots. So it is getting up to this 700 level. So I think it's safe to say there's 450 contracts there. You done, are you? Yep, you take it easy, bud. Have a good one. So we have broke the overnight highs. Well, that was probably overnight highs was here, really, wasn't it? You're Scottish, but never got into whiskey. My generation grew up drinking vodka. Been there, done that. I think at one point Scotland was Russia's biggest export. I started drinking whiskey. Well, I say whiskey, it was more bourbon, actually. First kind of whiskey I had was about 20 years ago. I worked for a dent company taking dents out of paintless dent removal. It was a friend of mine started. And he'd been working for a company in the UK, and an American guy came over to work with us. He'd worked with him for a bit, and I got invited to my mate's house, and I met him for the first time, and he brought a bottle of, it's that one, it's the bourbon with the, it's quite a fat body, thin neck, it's got that, it's dipped in plastic, isn't it? I can't remember what it's called. And that's the first, I didn't really like stuff like that back then. I was more of a beer drinker, but I did find I got bloated. But the three of us shared that bottle of whiskey, a bottle of bourbon. And normally when I have a drink, I've got one of those weak bladders that when I hit about beer number 4 or pint 4, I'm back and forwards to the bathroom every 10 minutes. So I found it, although I didn't enjoy the drink, the more I had, the easier it went down. But I found it was quite a pleasant way of having a few drinks. You know, you get a little bit tipsy, but you're not peeing every 5 minutes. And I didn't wake up with a bad hangover. So from then on, every time I went out, I'd have a couple of beers. I got a bit bloated. I would have a whiskey or two. But I think it was for my 40th birthday, which was 15, 16 years ago now. Someone bought me a bottle of single malt for the first time. And I just, ever since, I've been drinking ever since. I got to say, with trading, I went for a period of drinking a lot. Maker's Mark, that's the one, Scruff, good on you. I went for a stage of drinking a lot when I was trading. Now I've got a double here. I'll probably have 3 or 4 doubles a week. I don't have a huge amount. When I'm trading, I feel quite relaxed when I'm trading. It doesn't stress me anymore. So I sometimes have one. I get fed up of tea and coffee. But I really appreciate it. It does grow on you. And it's like anything. You know, first time it burns your mouth out. Now it doesn't. You know, I could drink it without. The burn does go. And then you get the flavour more. But I enjoy it. It's kind of like, you know, you remember the first time you ever tried Stilton, something like that, cheese, and it's like, oh my God, how can you eat that stuff? And olives, I used to hate olives. And I went out with me and my wife went out with another couple for their anniversary to, I think it was a tapas bar, and I always hated olives. And I had a few beers, and they had some on the table, and I think it was the guy's wife said, well, try one now. You might change. And from then on, I love olives. Weird, isn't it? It is an acquired taste, but it does grow. And you see, I like peated whiskey, which, if anybody knows about anything about whiskey, this is the one I'm drinking at the moment. It's called the Chaig. It's 10-year-old now. A lot of the peated whiskies come from a place called Islay, which is a little island off the edge of Scotland. It's close. It's not far away, but it's a little island. And what they do is they kind of soak, if anybody knows anything about whiskey, they soak the barley, don't they? they soak the barley and then they allow it to sprout so it forms like a little shoot. You know, if you've ever sprouted any seeds or wheatgrass or all that type of stuff, and then they dry it. Well, in Islay, there's big fields of peat that's, you know, kind of matured over hundreds of thousands of years or whatever, and they use kind of like a special spade, and they shovel these lengths out and let them to dry, and they use that to burn to dry the grain, and that's what gives it that kind of smoky taste. The first time I ever tried it, I thought it was absolutely disgusting. I'd paid about £25 for a bottle of Highland Park from my local supermarket, and I had a sip of it, and I thought, something's not right here. This is disgusting. And that was the first time I'd ever introduced to peated whiskies, was maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. And someone, the guy I talked to in a whiskey shop, he said, just have a little nip of it every night, just a little sip. And it grew on me, and it's my kind of go-to now. My wife doesn't like the peated, so we get a bit of mix and match. But you do really appreciate it after a while. The trouble is, when you're miserable because you're trading, it's easy to get. I mean, I was drinking, maybe a year back, I was drinking 2 bottles a week easily. Because I was frustrated and down all the time. Whenever I had a bad day and I was frustrated, I'd have a bunch of whiskies. But lately, I don't. A bottle will last me a few weeks now. Couple of 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. I don't have much now, but it does grow on you, and it's like anything. You know, if you have hot curries, I can kind of do a Madras. Anything hotter plays on my guts. If I have a Vindaloo, my stomach's churning all night. So a Madras is about as hot, but the hotter the curry, the less the flavour. You know, once you start to take away that heat, you get more flavour. That's why a lot of Scottish people, a lot of people who drink whiskey, add a little bit of water. And that's almost like toning your curry down. You know, not everyone can go out and eat a Vindaloo, but it doesn't mean they shouldn't have. It doesn't mean they shouldn't have a curry. So you just dumb it down a little bit. Just add a little bit of water. This is about 40. This is 46.3%. This is not too bad. Before Christmas, I had a. What was it? It was a Port Charlotte, which is about 53%. That was a little strong for me, so I did put a couple of teaspoons of water in, but then it does bring out that flavour then. This is same again. It's not the easiest of trading days today. It is weaving up and down, isn't it? So, would I have taken a trade in hindsight? Not really. I was looking for a channel with a break bearish bar here, but we didn't get one. But it did work down. 2 legs up here. I was looking for a lower high here to possibly retest those, but that didn't work. Nothing you can take here. Nothing you can take here. There is a lower high, but we're shorting into support, so I didn't like it. Nothing here, really. There's nothing. There's not a huge amount of price action. I haven't seen anybody take any trades as of yet, but it's surprising it'll change and take. I have seen someone take one. Did he take that? Down here somewhere. Put that bar off there. No, I wouldn't have took that myself. It worked nevertheless, but it's just, while it weaves like that, you never quite know where it's going to go. Not only that, after that, we had that big move down with that news. Getting in there, you never know whether we're going to pull back a bit and then push down to the lows. It's quite negative. And a lot of these news moves where we have that push down, you naturally get some profit taken. Then when you pull back, a lot of the times we'll go down a bit lower. Whiskey reviews. You know the most expensive whiskey ever sold at auction? $6 million. Unbelievable. $6 million. And do you know what it is that makes whiskey more expensive? It's just because there's less of it. So when whiskey's in a barrel, just in case anyone's interested, if you're not, tell me this. Shut up. When whiskey's in a barrel, you get a certain amount of evaporation, what they call the angel share. So the longer whiskey's been sat in a barrel, there'll naturally be less and less of it. So once you start getting to 18 years plus, once you start getting to 20, 25, 30 years, the price just skyrockets. Mad. First $10,000 month I bought a bottle of 15-year-old Glenfarclas for £95. That's the most I've spent on whiskey. So let me have a look here. So there are buyers at 95 to 97. So 97 is there and 95 is there. Now, you would expect a couple of legs down, buyers here, wouldn't you? 97, 95. Now, if you thought this thing was going to continue up, where would you want to buy it? This is the ideal place. The ideal place. Testing some of this area here, close to possibly this. So, it'd be nice to get a couple of legs down, wouldn't it? But we'll see. There are sellers at 05, which is there. Will it get up there? You never know. So, for those of you who don't know, our quite possible next Prime Minister, Nigel Farage, was a trader, traded currencies and commodities. Yeah. Come on, then. Come on, then. Up. Come on. Come on, then. Up. Jump. Come on. Pick you up. Oh, la. Hello. You all right, you kid? Yeah. never know what's in our future might be leading our countries. 20 years. You never know, mate. You never know what's round the corner. If you'd have told me 6 years ago I'd have been a trader, I'd have laughed at you. You never know what's in your future, do you? You never know. You never know. I'd have never guessed that I've been doing something like this ever. President Darrell. UK Prime Minister. I wouldn't want the job. It's probably one of the most impossible jobs you can do, I think, isn't it? One of those types of things you're never going to please anyone. Some people like that power, don't they? I mean, the trouble is, people talk about, I've been having a few conversations with a few people. They're talking about politics. We've got the local elections in the UK at the beginning of May, and that will give us a more of a picture. I dare say there's going to be a lot more reform MPs. Put it that way. No, people say, "Oh, Nigel this, Nigel that." He was a trader back in the day, drinking in private clubs, drinking ridiculously expensive stuff. He's not a man of the real people. If I was a young yuppie trader back in the 90s, I'd be, letting it loose. I'd be drinking expensive drinks, thinking you're the bee's knees. That's kind of the environment they were all in. And they're saying now you see him drinking a pint of beer, it's all fake. People change. Nigel Farage has been drinking pints of beer and smoking for years, long before reform ever came out. I don't know. Everyone's got their opinion, haven't they? The way I see it, I don't mind him. He's what I like is he doesn't kind of pretend to be. Now, someone may disagree. He's a drinker. He's a smoker. He doesn't pretend. He doesn't do any of that just to kind of look good. He is who he is. I definitely think he believes in Britain, keeping Britain. I don't see why we should lose our culture or our values. So he's the only one that seem that he wants to do anything about it. And sort of what we've had up until now just hasn't really made any kind of a difference, has it? This country's in the same shit state it's been in for a fair few years now. So, uh, even if you don't like him, he may be the lesser of two evils. Does anyone remember? Anyone remember Sam? Fife Trader. I'm friends with him on Facebook. Just posted that a couple of days ago. He had a baby, didn't he? Maybe 5-6 months ago. That's him there. That's him with his little baby and his wife. I think he's still trading. I did see his name in Vlad's Discord. So he's a lovely bloke. Actually, he's got a lovely wife and a little toddler there. But he's a nut. I don't know how the hell he got the baby. He's too small for that. It's almost impossible to get kids to do what you want. But he's a nice guy, Sam is. So hopefully he's still trading. And I dare say he may grace us with his presence now and again. Yeah, he's a nice guy, Sam is. Nice guy. I've met so many nice people in trading. It's great. And when you're stuck in a room by yourself, you need all the friends you can get, really, because it's a bit of a lonely old job as a trader. He put him. Oh, did he really? I'll have to have a look. I haven't spoke to him. I think I messaged him when he put that picture on. Happy New Year, but I've not heard much from him. You tend to get on with your own lives, don't you? So sometimes you kind of lose track with people. But hopefully he's around. He said he was still trading slow because, yeah, obviously he's got a job, isn't he? He's an engineer, so he's got a career, and obviously he's got a youngster. And we all know how expensive kids are. So, first and foremost, his job and his regular income is important. Of course, it is. So let's have a look. So if you look on Bookmap, this big yellow area here, it's kind of 95 to 2003 is where buyers are. So 95. Hold on a minute. Sorry, 95 and upwards. Okay, so there are buyers kind of in this area here, which you'd expect if that was going to be a channel. And it does look like maybe there's a move up with the break new high and a bit of a. Does look like it's heading up, doesn't it? What's this? Who's put that up there? Did I put that up there? Let me just look on the daily a minute. Surely we're not up to all-time highs, are we? Oh, we are. Ah, okay. So that's 7,000. Oh, no, not quite. So, yeah, I wonder what that line was. We're getting very close to all-time highs. So we are literally 13. We're at 6 now. So we're about 6.5 points, 6.5, 7 points away from all-time highs. So it'll be interesting to see how the market reacts when it gets to this. But we're into new territory now. Very close to it. That's annoying when it does that. So it's been there a while, that. I'd almost forgotten about that. So, yeah, all-time highs. Still got my. I think it's a well-paying job. Yeah. Uh, yeah, he has, hasn't he? That's got to come first. You can't take risk with a career. He's an engineer, isn't he? So he obviously went to college or university. So it's got to. Of course, it is. Pretty sure he's got a mortgage as well. He's got a young family, so yeah, he's got to keep his main income in. The beauty about trading is there's always a market you can trade, even if you can't, trade normal hours. The good thing about the US market is when I was in full time employment, I'd finish at kind of 4:35, and I could still trade for a few hours. But there are European markets, Asian markets. There's always a market to trade whatever hours you can kind of fit in. I mean, I wanted to. Once I'd done this for a while, I kind of knew that it's what I wanted to do. So I changed my job to fit around this. I was bricklaying at the time when I kind of got into trading, but I did do some HGV driving years ago. And the good thing about the UK is there's a massive shortage of drivers. So I ended up, I think I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so I could trade 3 days in the week, and then I went down to I think it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I could trade the 4 days, uh, and then just the weekends, and then I was getting bits of affiliate. So it was, I just concentrated as much time as I could to trading because I knew it was, I was aware it was going to be a commitment. I didn't realize how much of a commitment it would be. It does kind of take over your life, or that's kind of the way I looked at it. I get a little bit obsessed with things. I do. When I learn something new, I kind of have to know everything about it, otherwise I don't sleep. So I'm a little bit obsessive there, which is I don't know why. Why? Well, maybe it was that I had a bit of a. I made it a little bit harder than it should have been on myself because of the way I looked at it. But you kind of are who you are, aren't you? And you have to kind of make the best of it. I've always been a little bit of obsessive of things if I want to start something new. But that's kind of me. Exactly 2 hours in London enough. Yeah, I mean you can trade early mornings. I think I didn't realise how early London trades from 8:30. I think it's 8:30 or 8 o'clock. 8:30, which is quite early considering New York hours are 9:30. But yeah, you can trade that. You can trade European markets a bit later. You can trade, things like the Nasdaq and the ES up until about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night UK time. So you can get in 2 or 3 hours after work, or if whatever hours you're doing. There's Asian markets that you can trade. So there's always something available out there for you. And trading how I trade, kind of pure price action, more or less works for any market, any time frame. Uh, that actually doesn't fit too bad. Trouble is, there's nothing we can do up here. It's really got to get down here somewhere. So let me just check on them. So where are the bulk buyers from 7,000 and up? The bulk of the buyers are, which is there, and that makes sense. So we've got buyers from there up to about, well, right below where we are now. So there are buyers there. Now, personally, I've seen this scenario. I'd like to have a break and come down here. I don't like, for some reason, when we have these bigger channels, I always get nervous about trading at that midline there because you never quite know when it's going to decide to trigger you and come down to this side. Now, as we've broken out of this area, a couple of legs up, you don't know whether it's going to come back and retest down here somewhere. So for me, if I was to say this was going to come down here, this is kind of where I would be thinking about buying it personally. This is kind of where I'd feel comfortable going long if I had the choice. But I think that's a bit lower than most people. Most traders, or the chunker traders, are a bit higher, which is fine. We get a drop below there, a stem and a bullish bar. So for me, this would be the safest place to enter if I wanted to trade this higher. Now, the good thing going for it is we're right at the top of this channel, so that's good. So a pullback here, I'd feel quite confident getting into long. If we're struggling to get to the top, that often indicates a break. So we haven't really had anything on this CL chart. We've got what looked like a little bit of sideways. It looks like a couple of legs down. We haven't broke the lows of the day there. We've broken the highs, so my guess is we're probably heading towards the lows. We've got a channel there which looks quite nice. So if we got two legs up, nice looking legs, and a nice bearish bar, I would have a go at there. Channel looks okay. We got a touch, we got a touch, we got a touch, we got a touch. Looks quite nice. So I'm keeping an eye on that as well. We'll see. I'm just going to take a bathroom break. I'll be a quick minute. Okay. So, I'm nearly done. Okay, so this CL chart is showing a break. I like this. Pull back, pull back, pull back. We've had a break out of this. We've not quite got to the lows. We've had this big move down with a couple of legs up, and it is looking like it's slowly working down for the overnight. We broke the overnight highs. Overnight lows are down here. So if we get a nice entry, it's looking okay so far, that is. I'd be looking at a leg up with a little break. That's nice. Plenty of space for a break. And then a second leg up anywhere around here. I'd be happy with that. Testing this area here. Ideally, I'd like to go up a little bit more with a break and then up again. And then hopefully maybe get something short there. We'll see. Now, my risk and reward is a little bit less on the CL chart. It's just how it's working. I'll be going for about $100 profit, and it's about $120 of risk. Now, I like about $150 risk and profit, which is a little bit less than I do on there. But because I haven't traded the CL a hell of a lot, I'm just going to keep it at one contract for now. But I did speak to Vladdy, and he takes about 60 to 70% of his trades on the CL chart. So he seems to get more opportunity there. So if we get some nice setups, once my accounts grow a little bit, I may go up to 2 contracts on that one. But for this, I'm staying fine. But the CL chart is pretty stable when it comes to the ATR. This can vary considerably. $10 the point. Yeah, so I go for 10 ticks on here, which is it's the difference between there and there. But you can see how stable this is. It doesn't vary so much. So 10 ticks. If I was to go short there, I will be 10 ticks. 10 ticks, but it's actually 1/10 of a point, I think. I don't understand how this works, but I know I spoke to Vladi and Mark had told me about this maybe a year ago, but that's kind of what I go for, which is similar to the ES, similar kind of move, but there's my profit, and that would be the risk there, which is exactly the same actually. So I usually like to go for a bit more, but once my accounts grow, I may up this to 2 contracts. I'll see how it performs over the next few months. But I'm more concerned with getting a good system going rather than thinking about the money at the moment. I'm focused more on just playing the game. The money is a byproduct. So, buyers, where are my buyers at the moment? So round about the 2. You can see them there in 7,000 right there. So I've got buyers here, which is where you'd expect buyers, right around this area if this is moving up. Just get some feedback here. Oh. GC oil. The CL oil. Is that what you mean, Corinne? Is it CL oil? Yeah. Yeah. So that one doesn't interest me. If we can get a second leg up, that one would. That be 2 legs. Now the trouble is, so many times now when we get something like this and we get a break, it doesn't even get close to that, mate. It just drops. So I'm looking for a channel there, which should break, which we've got, and I'm looking for another push-up, ideally somewhere around here, or at least close to retesting this. And then we may get something. I always like to think about who I'm trapping as well. So we got a little bull bar down here. If we get a nice strong bull bar down there, we're likely trapping longs as well. So it's not just about how the setup is for me. It's more about, well, it's as much about who am I trapping. have I got longs in here? At the moment on the CL, price is currently down, so you're going to get those bottom pickers, aren't you? So I like to come down a little bit, just enough to trap the shorts in, get a nice bull bar, push up, give them that little bit of confidence, tick above it and get something nice and bearish. So you never know. Sometimes when you least expect it, we get a trade. Okay, this is interesting. So Dan took that trade there. I'm quite surprised actually. He just got out of it, literally just by a tick. Literally. Now this is interesting. Now I know we've got buyers from just above 7,000 to 7,200. Where's the 7.2 there? So if we can get into this area below this bar, two nice legs back, we may get something. Trouble is, I'm always nervous trading in this top section. We'll see. So I'm not taking this here on the left chart. We've got two legs up. We need to get down here for me. I can see there's a chunk of buyers here. There's not a huge amount of sellers up there. So for me, it's got to get down to the 7 to 7.2, which is this area here. Now, it's irrelevant whether you get a load of buyers, aggressive buyers here. It may not get down, but for me, the only place I can get long is down here somewhere. Ideally below that bull bar there and that one as well, right into this area. So, if you'd have taken that bar there, two legs back, look what's happening. You've been triggering, this is coming down. Why is that happening? Because you've got liquidity here and here. It's a bit weak and a bit vague. And look at those buyers here, all around here. So we'll see what happens. For me, it's more important we get below that bar there. That's the important level for me. 7,000. We get below there. If we get below there, it should get close to that. So we've got an even amount of sellers here and buyers, really. So 705 to 707. So 705 to 707. So there are sellers here and buyers here. That makes it a little bit more tricky. We're right in the middle of this. So if we can get down here, pick up these buyers, it may push up to the sellers above price. If we get below there, that will give it a little bit of a shove, I think. Trouble is, unless it hits that 7,000 level, I wouldn't feel comfortable with going along. I don't know if it's going to see this bearish bar here. There's a second entry long there, triggering that bearish bar. But for me, it's got to get down to that 7,000 level. Nothing interesting to go longer anyway, so it's probably going to, if it gets below there, it may have a little shove. Let me just get an order ready.
Order submitted.
See those orders there, can't you? Wilson shirt. Yeah, see, there are orders popping up down here as well. Oh, shoot. Down at 95. Can't see it coming down that low personally, but there we go. That's important. I won't even be considering long until it gets down here. Okay, second entry long. It's tick off finishing on its high. I don't like it. This is telling me price is more likely going to come down here, possibly lower. Who knows? I'm guessing though, if it gets down here, there's probably going to be a lot of traders trading that long. Let me just get rid of that.
Order canceled.
See on here, that doesn't look terrible. I just can't bring myself to taking a long. We're seeing these orders at 7,000 here. There's more sellers down here. Sorry, there's more buyers down here than there are sellers. Now, that doesn't mean a load of aggressive buyers won't push that up. But while we got sellers down there, I just can't. I couldn't bring myself to take a long. And there are buyers at 95. Does that mean it's going to come down a bit lower? Who knows? am looking at this CL chart. So far, we didn't get back to the EMA. That for me is a little bit weak. So hopefully we get a leg and a leg. If we can get above this and get something bearish, this may come down and test these lows. So I'll keep an eye on that. If I do get into something, I'll bring it in. Okay, we are getting down to this 7,000 level. I mean, we broke above this and we've made an attempt to come down, but we couldn't. So there's no reason why this can't continue up. You think about what's happened over the last few days, we are generally on the up. We've had a couple of legs up, couple of legs down, retested it a couple of times, and this does seem to be working. We've got all-time highs up here, so that'll be interesting to see whether we can get up here by the end of the day. So channel break new low. If we can get something strong here, depending on how I feel about it, I may take a higher low. Just not super sure at the moment. Mm. There is kind of two legs down in a bullish bar. I'm just not a massive fan. If you look on Bookmap, there are orders at 7,000, which is right below that bull bar. There are orders at 97 and a half, which is there, and there are orders at 95, which is down there. Those three clumps of orders, in fact, the 95. Now, some of it's there. These big clumps of orders, there's not a huge amount of sellers up here. There are some at 75. So with sellers there below the highs and buyers down here, that's telling me prices may pull back, but I think overall they're probably going to continue lower. There is a possible failure there. Do I really want to take that? Depends how you look at this. I don't think that failure is a terrible trade, but it's a bit congested. There are a few sellers up here. There are some around this whole area. So maybe around about 2 and above. There are sellers here. So that may work. Trouble is, it's a bit stacked. So that does change things. That bar there, I think it's in a relatively strong position. So it may come down, but I'm just sitting tight here. I just don't love it. Something's just telling me don't jump into a short here. Trouble is, the longer you go without a trade, the more untrustworthy you get. It's like when you've had a bad marriage, you don't want to jump straight back into another one, do you? Not that I ever have. So if you took that short there, it's triggered you and it's trying to push up. Now you can see this yellow area above price at the moment between 5 and 2, which is kind of this area. So price may get pulled up here into this area. It looks like it's going to. So that failure there isn't working, I don't think. Okay. CL chart, nothing. We did pull back, but then we had 2 legs down. We didn't get anywhere even close to that EMA, so there's nothing you can do there, unfortunately. It's a shame, but it's life. Austin. That's putting you to sleep as well, is it, bud? Yeah, it's not great, is it? Yeah, it is boring when it's like this, but do you know the way I look at it? When I was driving trucks, when I was driving an oil tanker, going back 8, 9 years ago, I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was walking to work for 5:45. I'd get to work at 6:15. So I'd walk for 30 minutes. The reason I was walking because I was sat my arse all day driving a truck, driving an Arctic oil tanker. So I'd leave the house at 5:45 in the morning, come rain, wind, or shine, half a time throughout the winter to walk around in the freezing cold. So I'd leave the house at around about 5:45 and I'd be back around about 5:45 at night. So I was out the house 12 hours. And now it's freezing cold outside and I don't need to step out the door. I don't need to get out of bed at stupid o'clock. And I work less than a third of the hours that I used to and earn more money. And I am so happier. So it just goes to show, even a boring day like this, I try and think about what it used to be like. Uh, okay, Thomas Wade is now this chart like that. So I did put my chart further up and said, if is anybody interested in a bigger channel? I think it was on Dan's. Now, Thomas Wade's just marked that. He's looking at it, but this, where did I put my picture? There, I says, anyone else looking at this? No one really said anything. I'm sure someone said, yeah, but they're not convinced. But, we'll see. So there is a bull bar and a higher low there. Trouble is, there are some sellers here. I'm just not wrapped at the moment. It may get above here, but I don't know. I wouldn't have taken that anyway. It's just EMA's flat and it's congested. Okay, excuse me a sec. Okay, is that second leg down? Let's get down to some of these buyers. So, buyers, where are they? There are some buyers at 97.50, which is there. So we'll see what happens here. Sellers at 5, which is there. So if we can get down here, we may get something up. We'll see. So if you took that higher low, you may not have got stopped out. I think you will though. So if you'd have took that higher low, you'd have barely got 2 ticks before it turned down. So there's no way on God's earth, in my opinion, that's not going to come down without stopping out that and that. And if you look on Bookmap, we've got sellers here, and we've got some at 7,000. Where's 7,000? Right below that bull bar there. So you've got a bull bar plus a higher low. It's triggered. It's on its way down. So I'll be shocked if it doesn't. If it breaks below there, it'll break below there, and it'll start getting into this realm of the buyers. That's irrelevant now. But these are the buyers here. So we'll see. But if you that high low, I'll be amazed if it doesn't get stopped out. We'll see. Okay, so your higher low's gone. I'll be next. Okay, and there's that stop as well there. So we are coming into the area of buyers now. That's just been taken. There's 330 contracts there to go long, which is kind of at this level. That takes us to kind of the right area, doesn't it? Slightly lower. Be nice to push down there and then wick up. There we go. We need to push down a tick below there and then whip up. So, see what happens. Okay, we picked up to those buyers now. What I'm looking for is a move up and a higher low. Now, whether we get it or not is a different matter. is so slow today. Okay, so we've had a bounce there. So about 94. There are buyers below there. So at the moment, I can't get into a trade there. We've got a channel down with the break anyway, so. Yeah, you're not wrong, Ben. That's why I'm looking at the CL as well. But to be honest with you, mate, this is much better at the moment. It's probably, I mean, Max said it a couple of times, isn't he? It probably just taking a few days just to kick off after the new year. But I mean, I had a message from Marco about a year ago saying that he was trading the ES. We had a flat spot again. Sorry, the CL. And I looked at it and it was really clean. So I looked at it for a few days, but I found I was either concentrating on this or concentrating on the ES. So I got rid of it in the end, but Vladdy before Christmas mentioned that's what all he looks for is one trade a day. And he takes, I think he said about 60, 70% his trade is on the CL, which, you know, obviously this is producing a little bit more. But Christmas has been flat. It has. There's nothing we can say about that. You know, a lot of the times these holidays, they can be sometimes, but sometimes it just takes a bit of time getting back in. But we've said this countless times before, and before you know it, we're getting a couple of setups a day. So it's one of them things, isn't it? It's one of those things. Sometimes you just got to be patient. But I think when it's like this is the real test of a trader, because if you lose your patience, you can be 2 or 3 trades down before this thing eventually starts to kick off. But fortunately, I haven't lost a penny over Christmas, and I could have quite easily have done that. I certainly have in previous years. If it had been this quiet, my patience would have got the better of me. But so far, so good. So it'll take off again. It always does. Trade NQ. I have trader. Yeah, I've looked at the NQ before. It moves it's too aggressive. It moves too aggressive for me. The only times I've ever traded the NQ is when I've been trading evaluations, but I just don't like it. I don't get on with it. The point system, it moves tiny little. I mean, I've put a profit in here, and prices have been above it, and it's triggered below. So it's sometimes what you see is not always what you get, and that kind of concerns me. So, channel with a break now. Would I want to take a short here? Naturally, I wouldn't, because since we're at, 20 to 4, 25, 2.5 hours, we've been going up. So that looks okay, and we've had a break. So naturally, my thought process is to moving up. Now, whether that happens or whether there's something different or I've got it wrong and it may come down, that's fine. But this is about as good as I've got at the moment. I like the fact that it's struggling to get below this area, which you'd expect. We've got a lot of buyers there. So, I don't know. Sometimes it is just crap. It feels like that lately. Okay, we've hit some buys here. Let's see what happens. You can see there's a little bit of support and resistance there. Let's see where price goes. I mean, I'm not 100% happy with that channel, but I've got to give it the benefit of the doubt to try and push up and make a new high. I certainly wouldn't think about going long just yet. It would have to be above here, and same with short price. It has been rough lately, mate. Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of people. So that's a good thing in a way, because if you sat there taking no trades and you're thinking, what am I doing wrong? You're doing nothing wrong. We've been down this road before many times. I've been trading for a little over 5 years now. We've had loads of times where it's been flat and everyone's twiddling their thumbs, wondering what's happening. And then all of a sudden, over the space of a couple of weeks, things change. So you've just got to be ready when it happens. I mean, it was about 3 weeks before Christmas. I took 2 trades in about 5 minutes. I can't remember the last time that happened. So it'll turn around. It always does. It always does. A lot of people are trading silver. Yeah, I noticed. Natty was talking about silver the other day. Someone else, who was else, mentioned me something about silver. Can you trade it on Ninja on Apex? Did someone say you couldn't trade it on Apex? I'm not sure. Sometimes though, you get some kind of stock or whatever that seems to be trending up nice, and a few people take trades off it, and then word spreads around. So, Natty Bar accidentally opened a trade on silver instead of micros within minutes. Yeah, that's the trouble when I think if you trade something new, when I first started looking at NQ, I messed around with it on a sim first just to get a bit of a feel for it. And to be honest with you, it scared me. I like Nuts. He's a nice guy, actually. He's had a good year, I think. He's had a good year. He's had a few hiccups, like we all do, but he's had a good year. As long as every year you make things a little bit better, you're doing okay. There was someone slagging him off the other day saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. He gets paid thousands affiliates. Well, he may get a bit affiliates, but if you watch his trades, he still takes trades and he still wins trades and he's making money. So what does it matter? Well, I've got more respect for people who just turn up every day and keep trying. I get more respect for someone who tries and loses rather than someone who gives up. Because it ain't easy. You are going to have your fair share of tough days. But I got more respect for the person who turns up and just tries. It doesn't matter whether you lose, as long as you're trying and you're slowly improving. Losing is part of the learning curve and comes with the territory. I mean, I had someone message me. Must have been a year and a half ago, saying Mac's full of shit. Trades don't work, Pats don't work. I've been through the numbers, they don't work. They've recently started trading and they've used AI to check the numbers, and the numbers have been tested 200,000 times. It doesn't work. I don't quite get it. Some people say strange things. I'm not saying they're wrong, but you get some really odd things. People say some odd things sometimes. Black Bay, I believe, is in the Traders Hub. He's not streaming anymore, but I think he's trading. I saw his name somewhere. It's a low impact stuff, isn't it? Saw his name somewhere. Yeah, I don't think he's trading anymore. Black Bay. And Bart. I've not heard anything from Bart. He came on a stream, didn't he, before a month before Christmas. He'd had a few rough days, Bart had. But I can't remember whether he said he was doing some travelling. He's another guy that's really nice, but he's not put a video out, or you don't know, do you? You don't know what's going on in people's lives. You don't know, Bart Fly, let's have a look. I put Bart Fly and it's brought this up. That's the one. How's he doing? Yeah, his last day was, let's have a look at his last live. He's a nice guy, boys. It was 2 months ago. Yeah, because he's trading every day. He's got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's got 8 trading days over a couple of months, and he's kind of disappeared. I've got his email, actually. I've chatted to him on email once, twice. I might give him a message, just send him say Happy New Year. You don't know what's going on in people's lives, do you? You see people and you quit his job, concentrate on trading. Yeah, I don't know. You never quite know what goes on in people's lives. You don't know whether they got health issues or family health issues or financial issues, or they want to just break from, streaming isn't easy, I don't think, for some people. Someone said to me, you remember when I decided to stop streaming? It was someone who taught me out of it, who said you'd do better. I actually found I did worse. I actually, because I think out aloud. I'm quite a. I tend to natter to myself. I kind of feel better talking about what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. It helps me kind of hear things a little bit clearer. So it suits me, I think, streaming, but it doesn't work for everyone. Bart is doing well with Forex, struggling with Pats. Yeah, he did. I know he put a couple of videos, didn't he, trading? What I will say with Pats is it's a quick moving market. You don't have a lot of time to think. You've got to make fast decisions, and it doesn't suit everyone. So I've there's been a few people I've talked to over the years who've gone to a slower time frame, maybe the 15-minute, the hourly, or something like that, where you've got a little bit of time to think. It goes without saying, the faster moving something, the quicker decision, the quicker your money can come and go. Sometimes the more risky it can be, and it's not for everyone. I've looked at it myself. I looked at Penguin for a while, Penguin trades, because it's like Pat's, but a slightly blown out, slower version. But I kept drifting back to Pat's. When I was looking at Penguin setups, all I kept seeing is Pat's setups. So I come to the conclusion that trading is more difficult than you think. And a lot of times you can be looking for something that makes things easier, when I think the real answer is it just takes longer than you think. So sometimes I think stick to what you've got. There's a saying in the UK, jack of all trades, master of none. Sometimes one setup, one strategy works better than trying to kind of look for other things. Sometimes if you focus on one way of doing stuff, you get better at it. But I think the answer for me, when I've looked at a few other avenues, is just stick to what you're doing. It just takes longer than you thought. You want to start stream because it would stop me from going to tilt. If you decide to stream, I'll back you 100%. I'll subscribe to you and I'll watch you. Because I think for some people, I think streaming can help you. If you've got people watching you, sometimes it can make you make better decisions. So if you do decide to do that, Daryl, you've been floating around here for a couple of years with me, a bit longer. So I've got no issues. I wouldn't talk anybody at stuff like that at all. You know what? You know me by now. I wouldn't do it because I'm in fear of me losing some of my affiliates. It doesn't make a difference to me. If I think it'll help you, if you think it'll help you, I'd say have a go at it. If you need any help or advice, getting going, software, blah, 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 whatever else, let me know, mate. I'll help you. Excuse me a sec. I need to nip to the bathroom. I'll be 1 minute. Right. I've been going for, it's been a long day today. 3 hours and 40 minutes I've been streaming for. That's the longest. That's the longest I've streamed for a while. Well, to be honest with you, look at that. I struggle. When I finish now, I struggle to get this onto one page. We've had very little price action today. I'd say we've probably had 60, 70% of what we normally have. Super quiet. So it's not the easiest day today. I think Mac will probably mark a few, but not much more. With everything we can be found with in Pats, can be found with Al Brooks. Absolutely. I've not looked at Al Brooks so much before. I am aware of him. I've watched a few of his videos. But from the people I've spoken to who took his course, said he's kind of like an encyclopedia of trading. The guy's been doing it for years. He's very knowledgeable. So if anybody was looking at Albrook's, I'd absolutely say I don't think you're going to go far wrong. So I think on that note, another day without a trade, but it's not easy at the moment. It may take a few days to get back in, but as I say, you never know when it's going to change. So I'm going to go and have some dinner. So I will leave you guys to it. I appreciate your company. If you're carrying on trading, best of luck. Failing that, I'll leave you guys to it. Have a great evening. Stay safe, and we will. You're welcome at any time. We'll catch up same time tomorrow. So another week gone already. We're on Thursday tomorrow. So we are. It's amazing, isn't it, how quick the time goes. Time flies when you're having fun. So stay safe. Have a great evening, and we'll catch up tomorrow. Bye for now.